Finished training for the day? Time to fight post-workout fatigue with Core Power Protein Shakes. They're packed with 26 grams of high-quality protein to build muscle and electrolytes to help hydrate. The nutrition you need to help your body replenish, rebuild, and repair post-workout so you can power on to the next one. Champion your recovery with Core Power. Visit corepower.com to learn more.
Welcome to the No Guilt Mom podcast. I am your host, Joanne Crone, joined here by the brilliant Bree Tucker.
Why, hello, everybody. How are you?
We are going into October right now, and October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And so we thought this topic was really important to bring to you because, Bree, I know that you have a history of breast cancer in your family. I have many loved ones who have been affected by breast cancer as well. And so we're digging in this episode of exactly what to tell kids, how to communicate with family, and also just to have a space to talk about this and how it affects women and how we can come together and be stronger with it.
Yeah, I actually am very interested to hear Paula's information and advice about this because I don't think the way my family shared my mom's diagnosis was the best way to do it. And I will share that on the podcast.
Yeah, I haven't heard this story. So I'm interested.
Yeah, it wasn't the best way. No.
Oh my goodness. Helping us through this today is Paula Schneider. She's the honorary vice chair of the Susan G. Komen Foundation, bringing a personal lens to her leadership as a breast cancer survivor whose mother also died of metastatic breast cancer. She's also the author of a new children's picture book called Love Stays Strong, in which a mother explains serious illness to her child and reassures her that no matter what changes, their love endures. And now, let's get on with the show. Paula, welcome to the No Guilt Mom podcast. And you're joining us from sunny San Diego, which Bree and I are like, oh, we wish we lived there, Paula.
It is the nicest place to live. So whenever anyone asks me where I live and I say San Diego, I say, I win.
Oh, I know, right? Let's see. We're in Phoenix, Arizona. I don't think there's anybody that would argue that you don't win in San Diego. We all leave here in droves to go to San Diego for those weekend trips.
Yeah, it's where we all go, definitely.
But Phoenix is nice in the winter time. So,
there always has to be that clarifier in the winter time.
Yeah, it's the only place that you can wear a tank top and shorts on New Year's Eve.
Yeah, there you go.
Pretty much. However, all of us native Phoenicians or Arizonans, as I am, we will put on our sweaters when it's 95 because that's the only time we get to wear them. We know how to go with the clothing.
It's jean and sweater and boot weather when it hits 90 because you're like, hallelujah, hallelujah.
Yeah. So, Paula, you have such a interesting story about your journey with breast cancer, and I really want to hear that from you. So can you lead us through it?
Sure. As I say, it is the worst club with the best members.
Yeah.
And everyone has heard this statistic that 1 in 8 women will have breast cancer. So it's real and it's big and it's a scourge. I was diagnosed in my 40s, and had I not had a background in that my mom had breast cancer, right? So I was very well aware that this could be something that would hit me or my sister. And so I felt a lump and was then subsequently diagnosed with breast cancer. And I was diagnosed with triple negative breast cancer, which is kind of a funny name because it's not this kind of breast cancer, that kind, or the other kind, triple negative, that are more treatable, right?
Yeah.
So triple negative is one of the most deadly kinds of breast cancer, and it's also one that is the less treatable. So I was diagnosed, I had young children at the time, not the age of the book that I wrote, but they were at 11 and 13 at the time.
That's a hard age.
Yeah. The last thing in the world you want to do is leave your kids ever. But certainly thinking about them going to high school and junior high and high school, and that very, very important time for moms to be around for daughters. It's always important for moms and dads to be around for their children. But that's the first thing you think of is, oh my God, I want to be here for my kids. And anyone who's diagnosed with breast cancer or any kind of cancer that has children will feel the same way.
Yeah. And that's like the first thing you go to, I think. I mean, you start to go down all the possibilities. And Joanne and I talk a lot about, I tend to be a step 20 person. Like as soon as a situation falls onto my lap, I want to know every possible outcome so that I can figure out the path to the outcome I want. And unfortunately, when it comes to illnesses, you cannot guarantee that outcome that you want.
No, you
Yeah.
can't. But, part of the conversation always has to be early detection.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Right. So, ladies, if for those of you who are out there who are listening, and you're probably moms if you're listening to this podcast, you need to put your big girl panties on and make sure you get your mammograms.
Yes.
And Komen was very instrumental in making the age go down to 40 as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to 50. And don't think this is something you should do once every 5 years. It's something you should do every single year. And if you are younger than that, you can still have a predisposition for breast cancer. And that's what
Mhm.
started this book. So if you feel anything, no, be your biggest health advocate, love your family enough to go get your mammograms regularly. And if you certainly feel anything, you got to go and get it checked out.
Yeah. So when you were diagnosed, what then happened next?
Well, I was running a very large company at the time. It was the largest swimwear company in the world. It had like 15 different brands, including Speedo and Calvin Klein and all of the mass brands for Walmart and places in the mass channel. And women don't really take care of themselves as much as they should, especially moms. And when you're
Yep.
used to being large and in charge, I had my family, my social life, I ran this massive business, and I was in the middle of a restructure of this business. And I unfortunately had to lay off a few hundred people.
Oh man.
And so I asked my doctor when I got diagnosed, I said, listen, I'm in the middle of this massive restructure at work. Can I have 3 weeks or will I die? And he's like, well, you won't die, but I would really like you to get started as soon as possible. I'm like, okay. So I finished up the restructure on Monday and Tuesday. We let people go. Wednesday, I told my team I had cancer, and Thursday, I went into chemo.
That
Holy
is
crap.
stressful, Paula.
That's a week. That's a week.
Oh my
That
But
is
God.
a week.
I didn't want my team to have to do it without me. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So it just was what considerations that I made. And I did go through that. And, that's a tough week. Nobody wants a week like that.
No, and it's like I think the illustration of how women put so many people before themselves. It's also like your first thought was you wanted to take care of your team.
Yeah, that's exactly my first thought.
Yeah. Meanwhile, dealing with this life-threatening diagnosis, it is not an easy decision to make. During that week, did you have to then tell your family too, your kids?
I told my family slightly before, and I just had my own podcast, which is Real Pink Podcast for Komen. I had my daughters on with me, and we were asking the question. They were asking them, and they're grown women now. They're 32 and 29.
Mhm.
And they were asked, like, how did it feel? What were you thinking? And I learned a whole lot of things that I didn't know, which was really fascinating. But when I told them, we called a family meeting, and I was already upset because, it's hard not to cry.
Yeah.
If I ever had to cry in a movie, I would think of two things. One, when I showed my mom my bald head, and two, when I had to tell my kids about having breast cancer. So those are very difficult moments to go through. And we told them about the breast cancer, my husband and I. And then I had planned to go to a Greek festival that we went to every year with friends so that it felt like, okay, this is happening, but
But it's
life goes on.
Yeah.
And you guys, we're all going to be okay. And we're going to go and do what we would normally do until we
Mhm.
can't do what we would normally do. And kids deal with things very differently.
Mhm.
Both my daughters dealt with this completely differently. And
Yeah.
we are all incredibly close. But my oldest daughter just couldn't deal. I mean, like, she didn't want to be home when I was sick because I'm, used to being large and in charge and, would take them hiking and I played sports with them and I'm an athlete, and to then not be able to get out of your bed.
Yeah.
My youngest one wanted to look under the covers and see every stitch.
Oh,
But
yeah.
my oldest daughter just couldn't be around, and you have to sort of let them go do their thing. And she went over to her little boyfriend's house, whose mother is a really good friend of mine. And
Yeah.
my friend Carol would cook for them regularly. And then Chloe, my youngest daughter, realized that Carol's cooking and she's a really good cook. So she went over there and ate. I was like, and then Carol started delivering food to me.
I
and
was
it
going to
like,
say, I'd be like, bring me
Oh.
some leftovers, people. I mean,
Yeah.
come on.
although, I will tell you that my youngest daughter came home one day and said, Mom, Carol bakes the best pies. Can we bake a pie? I'm thinking, oh my God, Carol, you're killing me here. And so I'm like, okay, honey. And I called Carol and I said, dial it down a notch, baby, because you're killing me. I cannot be baking pies. So I went to the store with my daughter. I got a graham cracker crust, chocolate pie pudding,
Oh, smart.
and whipped cream. And
There
that
you
was
go.
our pie. But I made a pie, even though I felt like hell,
Right.
Yeah.
And we're not even talking about the nausea and
No,
everything else
no,
with
I
it.
didn't eat it, but I did make it.
Yeah, but
Oh.
smelling stuff, man. Memories. Bringing back memories.
And it's interesting how you said that, your daughters dealt with it two different ways, and you just kind of have to let kids experience their own emotions and process their own emotions in their own ways. It hits home for me. It reminds me of when my grandmother passed away when I was 14. And initially, I just shut down. I couldn't talk about it. I went off to do my thing with a friend when my dad went to the nursing home to take care of everything. And my dad tells me later he initially thought I didn't care. But then he saw me breaking down in tears, walking, and he's like, oh, she just needs to process it in her own way.
Yeah.
And I think that's such an incredible reminder for parents.
It really, truly is, because they're children.
Mhm.
Whether you're 14 or not, you're not fully developed, right? And Zoe was 13, Chloe was 11. And, there's a moment where they're like, doesn't she care about me?
Yeah.
I knew that wasn't the case. So, as the parent, you've got to continue being the parent.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And supportive of your children in whatever way you need to be, even though you're depleted and you're having a really difficult time yourself, because it also affects your husband and your mother, your family, everyone. So you really have to let them grieve and deal with it in their own way
Yes, absolutely.
and be okay with that,
Yeah.
and not take it personally, because it isn't personal.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we're going to get more into what it was like during treatment for you and how you navigated things right after this. Bree and I have both been to therapy at different times for different reasons, like anxiety and depression, and it has helped so much.
But let's be real, getting into therapy can feel impossible. Finding the right provider, being able to afford the copay, and even just getting past the idea, I should be able to fix this on my own and just push through it.
Yeah, but it doesn't usually work out that way. You deserve actual support, and that's where Grow Therapy makes a huge difference.
They make therapy feel doable. You can search by your insurance, specialty, even availability, and book someone who fits you. No more calling endlessly to offices just to hear that they don't have any openings. And the best part is it's affordable. No subscriptions. You just pay for the sessions you use.
Some people get started in as little as 2 days, and if something comes up, you can cancel up to 24 hours ahead. It's flexible, supportive, and it fits into real life. Whatever challenges you're facing, Grow Therapy is here to help. Sessions average about $21 with insurance, and some pay as little as $0, depending on their plan. Visit growtherapy.com/NGM today to get started. That's growtherapy.com/NGM. growtherapy.com/NGM.
Availability and coverage may vary by state and insurance plan.
This episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. Healthcare professionals can lead their careers with LinkedIn. Discover jobs by specialty, preferred shifts, and even desired salary. From mental health therapists to radiology technicians, it's now faster and easier for healthcare professionals to find the right fit. Learn more at linkedin.com/healthcare. Side effects may include faster job placement, improved work-life balance, and increased career satisfaction.
Hey, it's Paris. You know I love sparkly things, right? Like stars. Duh. And thanks to Hilton and AutoCamp, I just slept under them. Picture me, serving looks by the fire outside my luxurious Airstream, making s'mores with the kids, while a national park is our backdrop. The great outdoors meets Hilton hospitality. That's hot. Explore all the new ways to stay at Hilton.com. Hilton for the stay.
Okay, Paula, I got to share with you, that's not how mine went down with my mom. So I want to first of all say that conversation is never easy. I'm getting sweaty palms and an upset stomach just thinking about this
Because she's probably going to hear this, right?
well, she's going to hear it, but also I tease her about it. So she knows that it's a thing.
We keep producing episodes, Paula, to bury all these stories for our families.
I know, right? Yeah.
I get it.
But it can be hard. So like in my family, my great-grandmother, my grandmother, and my mom all had breast cancer. So, and I have 2 older sisters. So we have always lived our life as like you had with your mom. Like your mom had it. So you kind of were like, I'm going to be aware because my odds are really high. So I've like always just kind of lived my life as I'm always going to keep an eye out for this because it's more than likely coming one way or another. They all got diagnosed when they were 50. So I've been getting mammograms since I was 30. Our whole family, like we just do what we can and stay on top of it. But my story of how I found out, I was in college and it was my junior year of college and first semester. And my family had moved while I was in college. So that's kind of important. They were in Arizona. I was going to college in Missouri. And she just kept calling me at random times and would just be on the phone and just be like, yeah, how are you doing today? Oh, I just wanted to hear your voice. As a college student who cares about her sorority, her boyfriend,
Yeah.
where are we going out? Which bar
Mhm.
tonight? Like, how am I going to do on my midterms? I just found it annoying that I was getting all of these calls and I would say, Mom, what's going on? Why are you calling me? You sound worried. And she's like, no, I'm not worried at all. I'm totally fine. So I knew something was going on. I knew something was happening. And then my family started making a big deal about me making sure I made it out for my birthday in mid-October. And this was after these phone calls had been going on for probably about a month. And I'm like, okay, something's happening. So I come out there and the first night I come out to their house, I'm like sitting there on the floor playing with my parents. Like they had little Maltese puppies at the time. I'm playing with them. And then all of a sudden, both my sisters walk in from their homes and they're like, let's all have a family discussion. Oh, crap.
Yeah.
Like, I
Because
don't know
it's
what's
never
happening.
usually good.
Right? I'm like, I don't know what's happening, but this isn't good. Like my fear, again, being a self-centered, underdeveloped frontal lobe, I'm all like, oh, they're going to tell me I can't continue going to college in Missouri and they're going to make me move out here to Arizona. Nope. They're like, we just wanted you to know that mom has breast cancer. And I'm like, oh my God, when did she find out? And they're like, about 6 weeks ago. And I was so angry that they all knew and they chose not to tell me because they didn't want to disrupt my life. So instead, I missed out on this time to be supportive to my family, supportive to my mother. I'll admit it. I was a short, snarky girl on the phone when she would call me because I'm like, what is your problem? You've called me like 5 times today. What
She just
are
wanted to connect with you. That's all.
Right? But I
Mhm.
didn't know because I wasn't having that shared. So, flash forward, that was October, that Christmas break. I went out to visit my family like I always do. I spent every morning getting up at 5 a.m., driving my mom to chemo in downtown Phoenix, spending that time with her that I desperately wanted and she desperately wanted. The story works out great. She is in remission now. Yeah, like 25 years in remission. She's doing fantastic. And she tested negative for the genes. So, like, again, everything worked out, but that initial, I would definitely say the path you went is a path I wish my family had gone. Because even as a 20-year-old, I knew something was wrong. And then I felt like this huge betrayal that I couldn't be there to support them.
That's an interesting thought that you felt betrayal, right? Because your mom was only trying to protect you. I
Exactly.
can understand
Yeah.
completely why, if you were just back at school and she got diagnosed and you were coming home in October, that might have been a better time for you not to worry
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
and
I
making
do
those
see.
decisions. Because there's no guidelines for figuring out how to tell your kids,
And you never know what's going to work out, right? Like you don't know if you're making the right choice. All you can do is what feels right.
right? There's no guilt. There you go.
Yes.
There's no
Exactly.
guilt about
Exactly.
it.
Yeah.
And she made
Yeah.
the choice that she felt was best for you.
Yeah. And it did
I'm
make
with
it
you,
so.
Mom. I'm with you. I
With your
understand.
mom.
Sue's my mom's name. Sue,
Sue,
mom,
I get
always
you.
with you.
I get
Yeah.
you, sister.
Yeah, it's hard being a child on that side of the interaction because I totally see it from the mom perspective of not
Mhm.
wanting to disrupt your child's life, where, I mean, they're in a space that they can't do anything for them and
Yeah.
it would just be worrisome for them.
Yeah.
And I see it from the kid perspective too. We say here at No Guilt Mom, like, no one can help you unless you give them the space to help. And as a
True.
child, we always want to be there for our parents. And it's almost like feeling like you're robbed of this chance to help and be of service, like having the decision made for you
Yeah,
instead of you being trusted as the person to make the decision. So I could see both sides of it.
sure. But you also have, it depends on the age too, right? I mean, there are
Right.
extenuating circumstances. You were at college. She wanted you to have a good first part of your
Mhm.
junior year, because what would you have done? You might have just turned around and come home.
Yep. I honestly probably would have.
And that could have disrupted your education,
It could have.
and
It
she
could
might
have.
not have known, any of the information yet that you would want to know. So it could have been whether she needed chemo or didn't need chemo. All of those things, I'm sure, impacted the way that she made that decision. And you were 20. You're
Mhm.
almost a fully formed adult at that point. But when kids are younger, you have to make decisions too. And that's part of the reason that I wrote this book. I was the CEO and president of Susan G. Komen for the last 8 years. And now I've stepped into a new position as honorary vice chair. But I spoke with, the impetus of this book is I spoke with women. I probably spoke with 4 or 5 women in the course of a month and a half, that were all in their 30s that had been diagnosed and all had young children. So when I am telling you, ladies that are out there and probably listening to this in your demographic, you've got to be vigilant about your own health. This is not a disease that discriminates against age. And more and more and more young women are getting breast cancer. And especially if you have families, it is your responsibility to take care of yourself so that you can take care of your family.
Yeah.
It's hard because we hear all the time about women canceling doctor's appointments or not scheduling doctor's appointments because they feel that they have so much on their plate that they can't take the time then to go and take care of themselves. But literally, like, this is a disease where early detection is everything and finding it first is
Yeah.
everything.
And I got to say, as someone that's been getting mammograms since she was in her 30s, I don't think they're really that painful.
That's
Go
not
ahead
a
and
big
squish
deal.
them.
Oh my
Go
God.
It's not a
ahead.
big deal.
Try all the rest of the things that happen if if the
Yeah.
cancer progresses. Look, don't be afraid of a mammogram. That's like borderline silly, right?
Yeah.
Because, it's not great, but okay, pinch your arm and then go, okay, that's that.
Yeah. It's not as difficult as I think. Like, it has a reputation.
Yeah.
I feel like that is not warranted.
Yeah, it's not that big of a deal. Ladies, it's not, put your big girl panties on and make sure, especially if you are 40, or if you have a history of breast cancer, talk to your doctor about it. And you should be starting a family history. You should be starting mammograms at 35.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The scariest part of mammograms for me, and I'm getting my mammograms yearly now, but when I was 40, I got my first one and it came back inconclusive because of density of breast tissue, which I had
Yep.
never even heard about. Like, no one had talked about this, how when you get your first mammogram and they're trying to find a baseline, getting that thing in the mail saying like, oh, we need to see you again. And now we need to do an ultrasound and a mammogram to make sure that everything is okay. And I had to go in every 6 months just to make sure all was good. They found a cyst actually, but they monitored it. They know about it and
And that's
they
it.
see it every year. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. And dense breasts are a thing, right? No one can feel your own breast and decide, oh, yeah, I feel dense or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That isn't how it works. It's just when you have dense breasts, it sort of hides things more, let's say, on your mammogram. So women who have dense breasts, and now when you go get a mammogram, they have to tell you whether you have dense breasts or not, because you're 4 to 5 times more likely to get breast cancer.
Mm.
So these are facts, right? It's scary stuff. I get it. But the scarier thing is not being around for your kids. So you've got to make those decisions that are really important for your family. And this is one of them. It's the fear that most women have, is the biggest health fear is getting breast cancer. And it is a real thing. So just make sure that you have early detection and that you are doing everything you can to be your own health advocate, because it makes a huge difference. Huge difference.
Huge difference. Yeah. Well, right after this, I do want to get into the treatment portion and how you communicated with your children during that. And we'll get to it right after this break.
Wish you could become a morning person? You know the type, up before the sun, early morning runs, first one to the office with donuts and a smile. How do they do it? Easy. With the new Galaxy Watch 8, sleep tracking and personalized insights from Samsung Health help you improve so you can wake up to a whole new you. One who, dare I say it, skips the snooze? It's possible. Train your sleep with Galaxy Watch 8. Learn more at Samsung.com. Requires compatible Samsung Galaxy phone, Samsung Health app, and Samsung account.
When your investors, customers, and workers demand more from your business, make it happen with SAP. The AI-powered capabilities of SAP can help you streamline costs, connect with new suppliers, and manage payroll, even when your business is being pulled in different directions. To deliver a quality product at a fair price while paying your people what they're worth too, so your business can stay unfazed. Learn more at sap.com/uncertainty.
Switch to Shiseido Benefiance Wrinkle Smoothing Eye Cream and discover why people are calling it the best eye cream. A powerhouse formula that targets 5 types of eye area wrinkles. 96% of users saw reduced wrinkles and diminished dark circles after just 7 days. Shop Shiseido Benefiance Wrinkle Smoothing Eye Cream at Sephora and discover how change can happen in the blink of an eye. Consumer tested by 110 women.
So, Paula, once you went into treatment, I have been watching online, just a friend of the podcast. Her name's Dr. Katie Hurley. She was on during our first episode. She was diagnosed with breast cancer and she's been documenting her journey. She mentions a lot how just tired and draining therapy is and how she doesn't have the energy that she once did. During your treatment, how did you deal with that while having young children at home?
Yeah. Well, it depends on the type of treatment. Like the treatment that I had was 18 years ago doesn't even exist today because it was too hard.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
And most people couldn't get through it.
Oh my gosh.
At that point, only about 50% of people finished on time with the type of treatment that I had because it was really hard. But chemo has come a tremendously long way. The anti-nausea drugs. Part of this is that there's individualized treatment now that is much more for each person. It used to be that, like, if you were a very low stage, you might not have had a certain types of cancer because breast cancer is 100 different diseases. It's not just one. It's all different stages and types and et cetera, et cetera. It's complicated. But if you were a low stage, you might not have had to have chemo, right? You might just have had radiation or just a lumpectomy or mastectomy or something like that. For most people now, because of Komen's research, actually, there is a ONCA testing, which essentially says, okay, used to be standard of care that everyone above this line got chemotherapy. And now there's about 50% of people that don't need chemotherapy because they can have personalized treatment that is different for them. You're still, which is huge, huge.
Yeah.
There's hundreds of thousands of women that will not have to have chemo because of the work that Komen's done. I mean, the outcomes will be the same or very close scientifically and statistically the same.
Yeah.
For me, I never had that option because I had, again, triple negative, which was really hard to treat and very, very deadly. So went through that. It wasn't even called that then. I didn't even know I had triple negative until I moved to when I took the job at Komen and I moved to Dallas for a couple of years and I went to have an oncologist there and she said, oh, so you have triple negative. And I said, oh my God, I did.
What did they just give you at that time, just what stage you were in for breast cancer? Okay. And can I ask?
Yeah, it was, well, at first they thought I was stage 3.
Okay.
But then they downgraded me at some point during my treatment to stage 2, but it had already spread to my lymph nodes.
Oh, geez.
So it was the year of living dangerously. I had chemo for 6-7 months, and I had 36 radiation treatments. I had a double mastectomy. And the day after radiation, I got on a plane and went to Europe, for work.
Oh my gosh.
I am not built that way. That is amazing.
Yeah. It just depends. Like every day that I could work, I did work because I just wanted to feel normal. And that was what made me feel normal.
And I think that's one of those things that people don't necessarily understand until you're in that.
Yeah. I mean, how much time do you want to sit at home and think about your diagnosis, right? When you can't get up, and my chemo would literally knock me down for 9 days of staying in horrible pain, no sleeping. I mean, just, a lot of stuff. But I really don't like to harp on that because people need to fear the disease more than the cure.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So, if you have to do it, you got to do it. Put one foot in front of the other and get her done because then it'll be in your rear view mirror. And the
Yeah.
treatments now are so much far better than they were when I was, in my 40s and had the treatment that I had.
That is so interesting to know. I didn't know that now 50% of women diagnosed will never have to go through chemotherapy. That
It
is,
might not be that much because it
yeah.
depends on the type, but there's a
Mhm.
whole
Yes.
slew of people in the middle that do not have to have chemo now, which is all because of the work that Komen's done.
So Danielle Fishel, who is known for playing Topanga in Boy Meets World, she recently said that she was diagnosed with breast cancer, and it was a type of breast cancer that I had never heard of before, ductal carcinoma in situ, which I'm not familiar with it, and I was wondering if there was a connection to the Komen research and that kind of cancer.
There's so many different types of breast cancer. I'm not a doctor, first of all.
Yeah.
Let's make that clear. But we always have 250 research projects going at any given moment, so I know that we have some that are in that realm.
What surprised me about that one is it was listed as stage 0, and I didn't even know there could be a stage 0 breast cancer.
Yeah. And she probably didn't have to have all of the massive treatments that, because she caught it so early. Stage 0 does not stay stage zero.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
going
no.
to progress.
It goes up. It's going to progress.
It never
But-
gets better. Like people, if you're out there and you're thinking, well, if I have stage 2, it'll get better if I just wait. It will not. It will progress.
It won't go away on its own, people.
It's not going to go. It's like a toothache. A toothache, it never goes away if you don't do anything about it. It just gets worse. So it's the same kind of thing. And you really have to be very aware of what's going on in your body. And again, if you're listening to this, you're probably a mom. You got to think of your kids.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm curious.
Absolutely.
You said that you interviewed your daughters recently on the podcast and asked about and you found out some things you didn't know what they were thinking.
Yeah.
Can you share one or two things that were a surprise that you weren't aware that your children were thinking at the time when you were going through this?
Well, there was incidents, right? I just remember I took them hiking right after I'd had my biopsy and I knew it was breast cancer. And I had a very large bruise on actually this side of me. And the girls, when they asked about it, I told them I fell in the shower, right? While we were hiking, I'm an athlete. So it's like when we went on hikes, I was head of the pack and, and they're really athletic too. So they were both saying that they knew something was wrong with mom because I stopped like 4 times on this hike. And I remember doing it, but it wasn't because I was in pain or anything. I was just had such anxiety about, that they didn't know about what was going to happen, about loving them so deeply and so intensely that I knew I was going to cry. So I had to get control of myself. And that's when they sort of figured out what the hell's wrong with mom? Kind of like what you were thinking, mom's acting weird. She's not doing something that is normal for her. She's not telling us, hurry up, we got to go.
Yeah.
So that was one of those things, but we use humor in our family and I'm funny. Okay. I'm just telling you that. And my girls are really funny. My husband thinks he's funny, but he's not funny. But that's because we all know and we love him. But I remember I was working on a project with my youngest daughter, some kind of a school project, right? Because, she's going into she's in 7th grade and we're working on a computer project and I'm feeling like just dog crap. And I can't hardly make it through the, helping her. And she said something and I snapped at her and she looked at me and she really wanted to fight with me. But, she knows here I am, I'm bald and skinny and, miserable. And she's like, what's the matter? Did somebody spit in your chemo?
Oh, God.
I laughed so hard. I said, yes, I think that's it. Someone spit in my chemo.
You're like, don't make me crack a rib. Do you see how frail I am? And then,
she doesn't remember that at all. And I remember it like it was yesterday. So just different moments that happen and how you try to keep some levity and some, in a very serious situation, you try to keep it going, right?
Yeah.
You try to keep some kind of normalcy.
Well, tell us about your book, Love Stays Strong.
Yeah, it's very sweet. I have it sitting on my desk, My Little Love Stays Strong. See, they only wanted to draw and illustrate one daughter, so I always joke that, sorry, Chloe, you would have been here. They only illustrated one daughter.
That humor.
And then your other daughter gets to be like, I knew I was the favorite.
Yeah. Well, that's what I said. Yes, I just picked my favorite, but no. I have 2 dogs and they only illustrated one dog. So I said, Chloe, you're with Bugsy. You're just not on the page, So But the story, and I sort of made it illustrative of the seasons. It's very beautifully illustrated, and essentially, it's the story of if there is a mom or a dad, because it's disease agnostic. It's not a mom with breast cancer. It is a parent talking to her children about or reading to her children about that things could change and life changes all the time and you have to be okay with changes, but through it all our love stays strong. And so it starts out where it's talking about, how much the parent loves the child and all of the things in the love stays strong. And then it goes into sort of fall and how the change in leaves are so beautiful and they're so interesting to watch, but it's change. And, sometimes change can be scary. And then you go to the next page and it has like winter, right? And the leaves are bare and there's snow on the ground, and not in San Diego, but in general. And it talks about how life changes and I am changing. I may change too. And through it all, there may be days I can't pick you up from school or make you your favorite snack or help you with your homework. But know that through it all, that my love stays strong. And it ends every page with my love stays strong. And then it talks about, there's a picture of all the families at an aquarium looking at dolphins. And it says, did you know that dolphins are a pod? And they play together, they stay together for life. You have a pod. And you have all these people and support around you, which I hope every child does.
Yeah.
And know that their love for you stays strong. And then there's one question that says that a bee can use a drop of honey to fly around the world. And questions are, and you can ask any questions you want because it makes your brain stronger. So you can ask me anything.
Yeah.
And, and it talks about, and then snuggles help too. And so it's just really sweet. And it was just a baby labor of love. And it's kind of funny because during my book tour, I had one stop where they had like child psychologists and young grammar school teachers and things like that. And they were asking me, so, what background or what did you like do research on this? I'm like, no, I wish I were that deep.
Lived it.
I just wrote what I felt.
Yeah.
And just how I wanted young kids to feel. I want them to feel safe, but understand that there's changes that are going on. It never mentions cancer. There is a nod because on one of the illustrations it has daddy shaving mommy's head and, the child looking on because Chloe wanted to watch like this. And Zoe said to me, right after you shaved your head, Mom, you had a wig on and you picked me up and we were going mattress shopping. I have no recollection of this whatsoever. And she said, when I saw you, I thought, oh my God, this is real because I knew you had a wig on. And I don't remember mattress shopping. I don't remember that moment at all. But for her, that stood out.
It was big. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a moment.
Well, it sounds like a wonderful book to help families, especially explain diagnoses to their children. And Paula, we like to end every podcast episode the same way, on a high note. So what is something in your life that you are excited about right now?
I have the most beautiful grandbabies
Oh,
on the planet that are, both my girls had kids at the same time because they do everything together.
that's
Okay.
nice.
They're best friends. So I have a 14-month-old little girl named Mila and a 9-month-old little boy named Hayes. And it is the most exciting, fun thing. I will still continue on curing cancer.
Yeah.
Should you buy the book and give it as a gift to anyone who needs it, then that all of the proceeds go to Komen. But
That's amazing.
For me personally, it's this new phase of life where I can relive what I had with my children, but I don't have to take care of them all the time. So it's all perfect.
Yes. Yes. Well, Paula, thank you so much for being with us today and for sharing your story.
And thank you for bringing up an important topic. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And ladies, mammograms.
Yes.
Mammograms.
Yes.
Mammograms.
Take those boobies, drop them on the plate, man.
Yeah.
Get the mammograms done.
Get
It's
the
not-
mammogram.
Hold your breath. Hold your breath.
I know, right?
Yeah.
And it's over in 3 minutes. It's not a big deal.
And honestly, in my opinion, most places make it spa-like. I get a pretty little robe. I get a gorgeous little locker. I mean,
You do what you have to do.
It's
Yeah.
great.
You love your family, do it for them.
yes.
Well, to everyone out there, remember, the best mom is a happy mom. Take care of you, and we'll talk to you later.
Thanks for stopping by.
If you'd like to support the show further, you can share episodes with your loved ones, leave a positive review, or follow us on social media at No Guilt Mom. You could also show your love by visiting our amazing podcast sponsors. We have a link in the show notes.